And Alice Lara.
Aquí estoy.
I think yeah, we're on we're online now. Everything's
Very
working.
special show for you
Are
tonight.
you recording the CD?
Yeah, very special show for you tonight.
And that's still streaming too.
Yeah, I just started it.
Okay.
It says it's going.
There's a that's
Headlines
it'll
include
be
Molly
streaming
attack,
live during the show.
Paris,
So on,
Governor
their
Ducey,
website,
and
their
our
website, people could listen to the show and watch the show online, and they'll be seeing it from that angle.
in-studio guest,
angle,
Derek
Any other rolling
Holfrichter,
chair?
owner and chief
It'd be
executive of
nice
East
if
Valley
you have
Crop and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Here with him
and
is
on this side,
Charlie
it's going
Powell,
to be the
leader.
YouTube. That's what it's going to be showing to the YouTube. Because right now it's streaming live. We're on YouTube right now.
And I can
That one-
add one of these.
Talking about
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That'll work.
tonight.
good.
Also,
It's just-
we'll be giving away a $50 gift
You can
certificate
take
to
that
Rosita's.
one.
And by the way, be
and
sure to
I'll s-
place your
actually-
orders now.
I gotta spell
All these wires. This one, this one, this one. This there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we get started. So, you're looking at behind the scenes of the Chips and Salsa show. I'm talking to myself. Okay. So this one is this one's over here. Okay. This one is this one's yours, senor. There you go. That one's yours. This one. That one's there. You have yours, and then this one is the one for here. Good. Everybody's got earphones. They were just a little tangled.
My computer just froze up.
Welcome to the Chips and Salsa Show.
What time do we start?
change this. That way this is last. Doesn't have to stay on.
At least we're out of town this weekend.
We still have a few minutes.
I'm gonna make you work for it. Sorry.
That much work. Ideally.
Well, I mean, no, Labor Day. No, but
Now, can I get a hand testing these?
Okay, I'm testing. Can you hear me okay?
This is Rush Limbaugh.
You wish.
something to Laney. Just
Well,
everything.
I think she may have had a little stroke. So when I went to go visit her, she was in a chair like this. And then she confessed to me she had been sleeping like that. Why did you call people to come out and put you there? So tonight they called Misha and said we take her to the hospital, and she was refusing to go. So her legs were really bad. She's 82 now.
Yeah, I was gonna say
She's really stubborn. Remember how she ended up over there? We took urgent care. And said, "You have to go to the hospital." We're going to drop her. She's
excuse me.
Si, senor.
Good. When I get over like that, remind me.
Okay, that's
Shed.
8:01.
Guys,
So
tell me
we should be
the young folks.
coming online.
Oh, it carried
We should be coming online. It's 8:01 online.
online now.
The red light hasn't came on.
My computer's not ready.
They're talking about crabs right now.
Crabs that you eat. I'm back. It's been 2 weeks.
Huh?
It's been 2 weeks.
What's that?
I haven't been to 2 shows.
I know, that's wild. I don't know. Hey guys, I don't have my computer's not up, so
Let's wing it.
we're just
We'll
gonna.
have to wing it.
We may or may not have mariachi music, so that's.
Smile.
Remember we were going to try to do it standing up one time?
I don't have anything, guys.
Nothing?
So,
Si se puede.
We'll wing it. We'll wing it.
Well, you got your marachis going, so
We have sound effects.
we gotta use that in Carmelita.
come
I
on.
got chickens in my room. I got chickens in my room. Yeah. When you're doing the Carmelita, are you gonna do the Carmelita?
Oh, could you close that door? Por favor.
Are we gonna do the Carmelita today?
So we're not gonna do the mariachi. I don't have it.
Oh,
I don't have anything.
no mariachis.
Damn it.
Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba Rey
Well,
David.
you know what?
Braden, we're not gonna have mariachi music.
You know, he should
My
have
computer's
some
not
anyway
working.
for backup. We should have some backup.
Okay, we might.
We might. They have returned. The mariachis have returned.
We'll see. Come on. Come on.
Si se puede. Pollard is going to be released, but where is he going to be released to?
New York.
Huh?
He's gonna go live in New York.
In New York. Ah! I thought they were going to. They wanted him in Israel.
Okay. headline news, commentary, and entertainment from a decidedly conservative Latino perspective. Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Friday edition of the Chips and Salsa Show. It's November 20th, 2015, and I'm Martin Gonzalez, and it's 1 week away. What is it? Black Friday? Black Friday? Right? Oh my goodness.
Shop till you drop.
Shop till you drop. In the studio that we lovingly refer to as El Molcajete is Don Jorge Ortiz.
El alacrán. Aquí
nomás.
Aquí nomás.
Aquí nomás. ¿Quién manda? Yo mando.
Yo mando.
You got your stinger on.
That's right.
Also in the studio, the only woman who makes any sense in radio, Alice Lara.
I love that title. You're getting my guac on. It's been a while.
It's been 2 weeks.
It's such a long time. Yeah.
We didn't know where you had gone. You didn't leave a note. You didn't call. You didn't text. Nada.
Took Carmelita with her too.
We didn't know nothing about nothing.
We are here.
Well, we're glad you're back. That's all that matters. You're back. You're here. You're here for a very special show tonight. We're going to be talking about the recent Mali attack. We're going to be talking about Paris. Getting an update, right, George, on that.
Yes, sir.
Talking about Governor Ducey. And our in-studio guests are Derek Hofrichter. He's the owner and chief instructor of East Valley Krav Maga. And Charlie Powell. He is the lead instructor and youth director. And we're going to talk about situational awareness. And they have some other things that are coming up that are going to be an integral part of the show. Very exciting to be talking about that and with them as well.
And Martin, I just want to say, I don't think too many programs are doing this. We seem to be faced with this horrible terror wherever we turn around on television and in the media. But what do we really think about if we're faced with that situation? What we might do? So they're going to talk all about it. It's going to be a great show. Do not go away. And if you have to go away for some reason, catch us on the podcast.
Take the phone into the bathroom like you normally do.
Oh, we're also on YouTube, so you can watch it. Maybe during commercials, when we're in commercials, we'll see them make some moves too.
They'll make their moves.
That'll be cool. And tonight we're going to be giving away a $50 gift certificate to Rositas. Rositas. And if you want the number now, go ahead and you know what? I'm going to just say, go ahead and do it now.
Sure.
Why not?
I think we should.
We're kind of playing it kind of fun tonight. So here's the thing. Would you like a $50 gift certificate to Rositas Fine Mexican Food Restaurant?
I know I would.
I know I would.
Me too.
George is 3. So if you'd like one, those of you who are listening so attentively to my voice and my breath, it is hypnotizing. Anyway, call 602-277-5369. Once again, that's 602-277-5369. And while I'm thinking about phone numbers, you may want to call Rositas because if you haven't already done it, you may want to place your order. Consider this a friendly reminder from us to you to order your holiday tamales. What would the holidays be without tamales?
Gotta have tamales. Gotta have tamales, and they're good ones there too.
So I have to tell you real quick. I was driving over here, and on McDowell, just before you get to 16th Street, there's a place called Taboo. Have you seen this?
No.
Have you seen this?
Strip joint or something?
Yes.
Yeah, you would notice that.
But here's the best part. It says Taboo, and then below that, that's like the tagline. It says Phoenix's first all-nude strip club. And I thought, that's a claim? You can make that? That you're the first? And then it wasn't enough that it said it's the first. It says Phoenix's first and original.
Original.
So just in case we didn't make the point before by saying we were first, we want to throw in the word original in there.
Maybe that's why they call themselves Taboo.
That's kind of, I can only imagine the conversation though at Thanksgiving a dinner table. One mom proudly announces that her son invented fire, and the other son invented the wheel. And then what's the third mom left with? Well, my son, created Phoenix's first original, all nude strip club. That's something to be proud of.
I have, I don't think I've ever noticed that, or if I did, I thought maybe it was a tattoo place or something.
Yeah, I never noticed it either.
I go there all the time.
I-
I go there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Oh, secret life there.
So
I'm totally clothed right now
so
in
in
the studio.
so in the spirit of doing this as a news story and researching this out, I actually went on their website, and
Ooh la la.
I had to research it. And first of all, in a strip club, there's rules. Not that you would know, George. Not that you would know, but there are rules. One of the rules is you don't touch the girls, right?
Oh.
So, but my favorite thing is that they actually have on their website a button that you click, and it'll tell you what the rules are for the club. And what do you think the number one rule is for this club? Anyone?
Besides
Anyone?
not touching-
That's not even the number one
That's
rule.
not the number
That
one
is
rule.
a rule, but it's not the number
Don't
one.
take the dollars?
Don't
I
take
know.
pictures.
Don't take pictures. Nope, that's not the number one rule. Although that's a good one.
Don't take the dollars.
Don't take the money. That's a no. The number one rule: don't use your cell phones.
Nah.
Right. Well, if you have your
Cell
cell
phones
phone, you can
turned
take
off.
pictures.
Well, yeah, that's true. You could take pictures. They don't want you taking pictures.
But they don't want interruptions. They don't want the cell phones.
They don't want the competition. It's like
Doing the lap dance.
it's distracting, is what it is. So
Well,
anyway,
if I go
Why
to,
don't
I'd
you
like to
take-
take pictures.
Why don't we go in there and you could take your like that music? Give us all that.
why not? I'm all for that. Hey, George, Alice. So we have some serious news, though. There was an attack today at a hotel in Mali. Mali.
Molly.
I knew that girl, Molly. And so this is weird because this is an Al Qaeda attack at a hotel.
It's
And-
a Radisson Hotel, I think.
At Radisson Hotel.
Yeah, so they're number one hotel there in that city. For it's like the top hotel.
And they couldn't have just put a complaint in the suggestion box. They had to go shoot the place up. This was really bad. But what I had heard and what we were talking about prior to the show is that this is Al Qaeda, and it's their attempt to sort of establish some a presence again, because ISIS has been taking all the news headlines, right? And so this is an ISIS versus Al Qaeda, who can attract and who can draw the most terrorists. Is that what you're hearing?
Competition again. Remember how Obama called ISIS the JBT? So maybe Al Qaeda thought, well, we are above our promotion. What the heck?
I don't
What's
know.
going on?
It's crazy. Also, what's going on is what's happening in Paris. George, you were telling me about the latest in Paris.
In Paris, what was I saying?
Well, you were saying that what was cool is the Paris police got their man, right? I mean, the guy who's the
Right.
quote ringleader.
Well,
Right?
he's what they consider the ringleader for the Paris attack, but they're saying that there might be people above him who are financing it, who are actually running. Uh, he was there to direct the operations. He's like the operation manager, and so he got blown up or killed, and they just found another body, and they think that maybe that might be the other person they're looking for, because they're saying that the girl who they thought blew herself up actually didn't blow herself up. That there's a third person that they found, I guess, in pieces of them, and they're trying to figure out who that one is, and they think that maybe that might be the one that they've been searching for, the eighth terrorist that they've been searching for.
And Alice, with that happening in Paris, we've got news here in Arizona. Governor Ducey saying no to the Syrian refugees, right?
Right. He's joined. I think there's about 30 governors now nationwide who have done that. It's not anti-immigration. We just want to make sure these guys are vetted properly enough. And we're not comfortable enough with what the federal government is telling us. In fact, there's a letter of support. If you want to sign your letter of support for the governor, I invite you to send your signature or let her know that you do this. Vera Anderson is very active in the Tea Party. You can send it to Vera Anderson, Vera Anderson 41@gmail.com, and she'll put your name. She'll add your name to a letter of support for our governor, WC.
Do you support our governor,
Yes, I do.
George?
I do 100%.
That makes 3. You're listening to the Chips and Salsa Show right here on 1100 KFNX.
Come on up, guys. Just gonna wing it. I was hoping to have all my stuff up, so you guys know what you're talking about. Whatever I forget, remind me. You bring it in. Do my commercial.
What are we listening to right now? That's a segment.
It's a commercial.
That was our
That's
own.
commercial.
Yeah, that's funny. That was good. I actually like that coming out of our show.
They did that last week too.
They did.
Yeah.
Think about that. That actually makes sense.
It does. They don't always do it though.
No,
They did it last week.
I like
The
that.
commercial? The commercial, yeah. Yeah.
So can you guys hear in your headphones?
Yeah.
How's the volume?
It's a little loud on mine.
Is it loud? Could you give his mic?
Sure. Is that you?
What's the number to it? No. Oh, he's on a different mic. I don't know.
Is this you? Is this you?
That's me. There we go.
Right there?
Yep.
Okay, holler. Good.
Yep. Thank you.
Do we want to bring in the mariachi and say they were late?
Yes, if you want to.
What do you think? It's up to you. Or are we done with it?
You can bring it up. Because I can just talk over it. We'll have the intro, and then as you play the mariachi music, then I can speak over it and say, you know what?
Okay.
I can do that, and then I'll go right into
Hey,
the
Braden.
beginning.
Braden, can you open up that channel? We're going to have mariachi music. Just, oh, okay. Never mind then.
I told him the third segment.
Oh,
That's the third segment.
third segment. Let's do mariachi in the second. So, Alice, you're bringing this in. We'll go right from the rejoiner into the music, and then you want to start talking.
Yeah. I'll do the third segment with one two.
So we have the mariachis ready for you. I know I took us down a weird road with the taboo thing, but that was just
But I like that.
it was just spontaneous.
Have you been to a
Now
strip
you
club?
make
The last time I went to a strip club, it was
That's what I was going to ask.
yeah, okay, yeah, but it was in Vegas probably 2002 was the last time I went to a strip club.
Absolutely love this music. Brought to you by Martin Gonzalez.
No,
Martin Chili Bean, Jelly Bean, right?
Martin
That's what they
Chili Bean.
heard. And
No.
Mr. Alacran, Jorge Ortiz, over there, George Ortiz. I'm Alice Lara, and we are here every Friday night at 8 p.m. But introduce the mariachis because you do that so well, Martin.
Oh, you're nice. I will. We have in the studio Javier, Victor, Enrique, Santiago, Miguel, Ernesto, Luis, Pancho, Rogelio, and Efren. I ran out of breath. There's so many guys that are cramped in here in the studio.
Y no se olvida Rogelita.
Y no se olvide Rogelita porque es muy bonita.
We're every Friday night, 8 p.m. getting our block on Chips and Salsa Show. I'm going to do a little tiny commercial before we bring in our wonderful guest for the evening. I've got to tell you about my awesome dentist, Dr. Chris Mingeni. Dr. Christopher Mingeni is conveniently located at 51st Avenue in 51, right? and Glendale.
You've been out for 2 weeks.
I've been out for 2 weeks.
It's understandable.
I'm not even using my notes. He is the best. Really simple phone number. Very, very easy to remember. 602-678-0678. 602-678-0678. Mark and I, my husband and I have been going there for, about 8 years. He is fantastic. He specializes in bite alignment. You know, a lot of people don't even know if their bite is off. I personally, this is a secret of mine, but some people don't. I wear a night guard, and if I don't, I'll wake up and I'm a mess. I'm headed here because I got my teeth grind. But
Is that like TMJ?
yeah,
The bite
exactly.
alignment thing?
I mean, if I fall asleep on
Trying
the
to think
sofa,
about it.
my jaw can lock up, and it takes me a while to get an alignment. It's
Really?
awful. But he does all kinds of stuff. He is just great. I know it's Friday night, but if you'd like to call and make an appointment, Kayla, the most awesome office manager, she takes care of everything. She makes sure you get all your insurance covered. You can call 602-678-0678. 602-678-0678. It's off the 51 on Glendale. Very, very easy to find on Green Drop. And tell them the Chips and Salsa show sent you. And don't forget, George's going to go over there. Have you made your appointment yet, George?
Not yet, but
I'm going to make it for you, buddy.
Get your phone, George. It's right. I see your phone
I'm
right
going to
there.
call
Smart
on the
call.
air and make an appointment for you. Maybe I'll do that.
That's
hey,
right. A lot of pressure for him to do this.
It is pressure.
Peer pressure, peer
peer
pressure.
pressure.
It is my distinct honor and the privilege. Special guest. We have two very special guests. One I know very personally because he's my nephew-in-law. East Valley see, all this time. East Valley Krav Maga. And we have Derek Hofrichter. I got that right, I'm sorry. He is the owner and chief instructor of East Valley Krav Maga. And Charlie Powell, my nephew-in-law.
Hi, Alice.
You don't hear that very often. My nephew-in-law. You have to. It's one of those things you have to think about.
I have so many nephews and nieces. That's why I'm
You know,
I want to be blood
at a family reunion, we just say, "Oh, he's a cousin.
He's a cousin. Everybody's a cousin.
Es un primo."
He's my sobrino, right? He is the lead instructor and youth director also. And let me just give you a quick little background. As I said in the first segment, with everything going on, the most horrible France happenings and things just in the world, wherever you turn, it seems there's always a terror thing going on. What we don't talk about is, if we were in a situation like that, what the heck are we supposed to do? The average person doesn't really know what to do, how to respond, and really you can't wait for somebody else. You are there on your own, and if you maybe can think about it or have a little heads up on what to do, that can help. Now, these guys, of course, I have actually been to their studio. So impressive. My great niece and nephew, that's Charlie's kids, Sarah and Jacob, they actually take Krav, and they are terrific. And when we take care of them on the weekends, I worry just a little bit less because I think if something ever happens, I think they're going to be protecting me instead of doing everything. So let's start out first, and Derek, why don't you tell us in a nutshell what this is and what you do and maybe what your purpose is?
Yeah, and thanks for having us here. So Krav Maga is a self-defense system that was created by the Israeli military. So shortly after Israel became a country, they're always in a state of war. They use all their citizens. They needed something they could quickly train people on how to defend themselves. So over time, it's kind of been modified a bit for civilian usage. We have different needs. So we are really in the business of providing the what ifs, like you're talking about. You know, people have what ifs. They can range from what if someone breaks into my house, or what if I get mugged when I'm going out for a run, or it could be something like this event in Paris or other things that we've seen here in the U.S. So people come in, they take our classes, we train, we go over scenarios, we help people plan, we help give them the knowledge for all of those what ifs.
And I know that, Charlie, you do a lot of youth direction.
Right.
And one of the first things when I first saw the demos, I saw, and you were teaching someone, so little kids walking, and someone comes up from behind, and they could totally get out of it. And I was amazed on how, we're very good, of course, with kids all the time. But, and now I'm thinking of the schools, I can be so vulnerable. As a woman, I'm vulnerable. What do you think is the most overlooked thing as a parent? Do they ever think about this?
Well, that's kind of a big question. There's a lot of things, but I think when someone is aware that things can happen to them, that's a big thing. It's not always somebody else that it happens to. So the way we approach that is we try to put the realism into the training that we're doing. So the reason you see the kids doing what they were doing is because it looked realistic. The attack was realistic. The training that we gave them was realistic, and they were able to basically use something real to defend themselves. So we're not as interested in looking so pretty when we do it. We're interested in giving them some practical use advice and train them in a chaotic sometimes environment, because the chaos and the adrenaline that creates would be what happens in real life.
And these guys, and you can see them on YouTube actually, but they're very fit. And my niece who's married to Charlie, she's in the best shape of her life, I think. And I've known her over I don't know, she's 10 years younger. But it's amazing with these guys. Okay, so let's take it to the scenario. I am at a concert, and even now when I go to a concert or a big event, it's telling me the showing started. I'm a little more nervous, and I'm kind of looking around more, trying to see what's a suit. What can you tell us about situational awareness?
Yeah, so self-defense training, when we think about it, we think of punching and kicking people, but that's just one tract of it. It's a big thing, and it really starts with the whole art of avoidance. So if you're going into something like a concert, you want to just be aware of where you're situated, where you parked, remembering how you got in, how you might get out. These are all things that don't need to take up a lot of our time, but should be on our mind. So that's really where it starts, is being aware who's around you, where the nearest security guard is if you have a question, all those type of items. It can save you. It can literally save you, but it can also save you a lot of time and hassle if there's an emergency, or if you need to get out of there quick, or if you have family members in different areas, how are you going to find them? If all this is thought about before something happens.
So I even think about I'm not a big high heel person anymore, but I even think about I want to wear shoes that I could, if I had to run away, like I used to work in El Paso, and we had to walk about almost a block to the parking lot. And so I would wear flat shoes instead of my high heels. And I'm thinking that kind of makes sense, because if I have to run away quick, I can make a better way. What are the details like that?
Well, it's funny you mention that, because me personally, I very rarely wear flip-flops outside of my house, and that's exactly why. It's not practical for me. I can't run in them. I can't barely kick in them. What good am I to my children if I can't do any of those things when I'm there with them? So that's just something, a habit of mine. I love wearing flip-flops, but I don't do that anymore. So the same kind of thing. Think about what you're wearing. That's important. Can you get out of a place quickly wearing high heels? Might look good in MLS, but
That's good. Yeah, it's just you're in a big place, and it seems you have so many restrictions, and then a mob of people. I'm from a big family, as you know, Charlie. So we're used to having a lot of people around us. But I'm a little more nervous now. And if I could train myself to be better, I feel more comfortable with that situation.
Yeah, you want to have a plan, like I was talking about. And so when you're in that type of scenario, a mall, a movie theater, a concert venue, you need to have a plan of action. And it's really a 3-part plan. It's either run if you can, hide if you can't run, and then at that point fight back if you can't do the other two. And that's the basis of putting together a plan for these type of scenarios.
And we're going to get, this segment's already going really fast, but we're going to get into much more detail. And they've got special events here. Stephen's talking about body language and different things like that to talk about. So stay tuned. Go get some more chips and salsa. I know we got a little news break here, but we'll be right back with Martin Gonzalez, George Aziz, and me, Alice Sada, and our special guest from East Valley, Krav Maga. You guys bring it on in.
Yeah, now that
Now that you know.
now you've established it, now we can ask some questions too. You do have to think about it too, because I'm a pro gun rights advocate, and the day that you decide to carry is the day you have to be aware like that, and you have to think about a lot of things too. Same thing. So it's not unlike having to. It's a responsibility.
Yeah.
You're and what you're talking about, I think, is just taking responsibility for your own life.
Well, and it's so mind-boggling now because when I watch things and I see people out there, and I used to do that a lot. I used to just not, who cares? Even when I go park, sometimes if I'm parked, I don't pay attention when park. I don't think about it. Now, it's irresponsible. You're absolutely right.
Well, what you said the first one was avoid, right?
Run. Yeah, the three-part thing: run, hide, fight.
Hide, fight. But in your discipline, the Krav Maga, you guys teach like to end the fight quickly, right? It's not like you said, it's not pretty, but it's about even preemptively.
If you're going to get to that third step of fight,
once you've decided that the first two aren't going to work,
yes, then you're all in.
Yeah.
You're not going to half do it or dance around. You need to end it so you can move on.
So the idea of running
Alice
first
is the code
is
1010
very relevant with the terror type stuff.
010101.
Mass type things. That's where he's going with that.
Oh, very interesting.
That's very relevant in that.
That's the strategy for a terrorism scenario.
You don't want to, even hiding is still not your best option. Running is still your best option. Hiding behind a table, they're just going to walk up to you.
Right.
So I was listening to this one program, and the guy was saying that he told his kids, if there ever is a gunman come into your classroom, you run. The first opportunity, just get out.
Yeah. Well, from shooting and stuff, especially handguns, very hard to hit a moving target. You go to the range and you're shooting something as far away from that sign, and if it goes any much beyond that, no one can hit it. And that's a stationary.
Yeah, 25 yards. If you could get at least 25 yards away.
Yeah, and at moving,
And not only that, most of the time, you could probably run with a bullet in you. You're not necessarily going down just because you got hit.
Mm-hmm.
I want distance from these people.
And Derek is a certified armed citizens tactics instructor.
So I could talk about the carrying a weapon.
I think when I
Cool.
did that,
Yeah.
and then he has a firearms channel. So
That's very valid stuff. There's different sets of thought process when you're carrying. Right?
Yeah.
So
because it's like what you're doing with the Krav Maga, but you do have to be aware. Like when I go out in the parking lot at night, you're scanning and you're looking because you're carrying, so you have to be aware of your own safety and those around you
when
too.
you're
But
not carrying, is it any different?
no, I still think about
That's good. So you train yourself to do it.
it. Yeah, but then it's one less option, right?
Yeah.
right.
Now running becomes let me try to impress you with my track skills.
Do you guys carry?
I sometimes do.
But see, just because of the skill that you have,
Yeah.
I mean, that's your body isn't like yours.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have used that on here. Oh, so they have the oldest, Derek, and the oldest person they have is in their 70s.
Really?
He's been with me since I almost.
So it's not like high impact.
It is, but it has to be practiced real, and it has to be for regular people.
That's the same thing with if you carry, you have to practice, or otherwise don't even carry because you're not going to know. I mean, just simply having it on you.
That's exactly right.
Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa Show. This is Jorge Ortiz, known as El Alacran, and my mild manner Alice Lara on the other end, and the man about town, Martin Gonzalez. And this this segment is brought to you by our One Truth progressive rock group with J.C. Gonzalez from the East Coast, from Richmond, Virginia, lead singer on Facebook and on iTunes. Their lead song is The lead song is Inferno, and so you can check them out on iTunes, and you can download their songs, and check them out also on Facebook. You can read up on all the other songs that they have. They're one of our producers for this segment, or sponsors for this segment. Now back to Alice Lala and our guests.
Hey, and just before we continue with our guest, remember you can call in now. $50 and or gift certificate, $50. You can take the whole family. You can take all your friends. Call in now, and Mr. Brady will take your name and number at 602-277-KFNX. That's 602-277-5369. Hey, even if you're out of town, you know what? You can be a Flagstaff. Call in and win a gift certificate. Come out here and go at 866-536-1100. 866-536-1100. All right, we're going to get back to our gentleman here from East Bend. I wanted to let you know, Derek, so excited because I can say that. He is the owner and chief instructor, and he is also certified by the Wingate Institute in Israel, and he's a certified arms citizens tactics instructor. Charlie is also certified by the Next Generation Club. And we're talking about how to be your own first responder, because face it, you're in a bad situation wherever you are. You're just walking late at night to your car, you're at a concert, something was wrong, you're in a bank, things go wrong. You should kind of have an idea of what to do and how to respond. And these guys, I mean, we were talking about Jim and do carry all the time, and not knowing that really their bodies are their own armed weapons. If you're really
Yeah, you wouldn't want to mess with these guys.
Nah, I don't think so.
But you know what? It's interesting that you should say that, because you really should think twice about anyone you come in contact with. You know, we kind of can be hotheads, right, on the road. We're driving home, and we got the road rage thing, and maybe we might, give somebody, the finger or whatever, or honk, and then maybe you get out of your car. Next thing you know, you might get into a situation you never wanted to get into, because the person that now you've confronted probably knows how to do something like Krav Maga. So, yeah. Or they might have a gun or whatever. You don't know. So, best thing, cooler heads prevail. But in a tough situation, it is good to know some skills, right?
So I want to ask someone like me. I don't know very much. I think I could run, but I'm not in great shape. I talk to this. What would you tell someone like me is something easy that they can do?
Well, look, the first thing you need to think about is, at least at what we do, the system was kind of built for everyday people. It kind of incorporates sort of natural body movements. It's not a fancy, complicated thing to learn. So when you say, what could I do? I mean, that's a pretty loaded question, because what's the situation? Well, what can a person do right now starting tomorrow? You could start going to class, because what we do in class is we take everyday people and give them some tools to defend themselves. That's the way the system was built in the first place. If you think about World War II era, little communities had to protect themselves. They didn't have a military to do it for them. That's really how this thing came to be.
So Krav Maga isn't something like that's choreographed. Like, to me, when I was a kid, I took karate lessons, and it seemed very choreographed. Like, if the other guy did this, then I could do this. And what you're telling me about Krav Maga, that doesn't sound like it's that kind of thing. Like, it's like the bad guy isn't going to tell you, and now I'm going to throw a punch so that you can do this, with sweep it or whatever, wax on, wax off.
And you're exactly right. I mean, and that's again the difference in how we train versus something else. In fact, we purposely will make it imperfect, meaning, as you said, if you do this, then I do that. Well, that's never going to work in real life. So we would have a drill where we would have you practice what we just taught you. You will always be hitting something, a pad, something, instead of kind of air punching. We might have you bumped around. We might have you off balance. We might have you tired and exhausted. We might
turn off the lights.
Turn off the lights. We might introduce some sort of adrenaline, chaos, screaming and yelling, anything to simulate the realism of an off-angle attack, to simulate the realism of how this actually might happen to you.
How long is a class?
It's about an hour.
It's about an hour.
Yeah.
Where is your? Is it a studio? Do you call it a dojo? I mean, I'm guessing that in the Krav Maga world, there's a name for it.
Yeah,
Where
we
you work.
just call it our school,
Your
or our
school.
gym, or
Your gym.
our
Okay.
studio.
It's really nice. This new one you have, very nice.
And where are you located?
We're in Tempe on Apache Boulevard,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right by ASU.
very near SU.
Oh, okay. Do you have a lot of ASU students?
Yeah, about a quarter of our
Really?
members come from the campus.
Mostly women.
It's about 50-50.
Yeah.
And you have women instructors too.
Yeah, about half of our instructor staff as well are females.
I want to ask more questions about that, but I don't want to get away without asking. You have a seminar event coming up in December that was really interesting.
Yeah, and it ties kind of into everything that you've been talking about. On December 12th, we're bringing in a guy he's an expert in kind of tactical biopsychology, and he's going to teach us about reading body language. So even before there's violence, before you're throwing a punch, before you're defending yourself or running away, if you can kind of predict behavior, that's going to give you a huge advantage on maybe just getting away from that situation before anything happens. And there's different cues that you can read in the body. If you understand what stress does inside of our bodies, if you understand that, you can then understand what might be happening in someone who's about ready to commit like an act of terror or who's about ready to attack you.
Stress and adrenaline.
Yeah.
Because the other thing too, like after you've had that attack, then you go that adrenaline. I don't know what you call it, but it's like your body it's like trying to drain or process this adrenaline, right? And how do you manage that if you're in a situation, where you're fear for your life too? It's not just when you're in a fight, but when you're fearing for your life, how do you manage your heart and your mind and your breathing and your muscles? You know,
you, like Charlie was talking about, you need to practice under those scenarios. So, the karate that you talked about or other martial arts, they kind of keep it very sterile, and everything's done on rhythm and to time. But we can create stress, like your body under simulation will create those same type of symptoms that you would under a real situation. So we create that in our members so you can feel what that's like. And you can see, could you even run away after defending yourself? Are you capable of putting one foot in front of the other? You need to practice it to know and find out.
Oh boy, is there practice. It's rigorous. So if somebody wants to go to this, do they just go to the website to sign up?
Yes, just go to our website, eastvalleycravmaga.com.
And when you guys do this, do you go to the belt progression, just same way as karate and stuff, or how does a person progress in?
Yeah, there are belts, but that's really not the focus. The focus is, can you defend yourself? And so that's really the filter. The belts are there to kind of designate what level of the curriculum you're working on.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, but the focus really is, can you actually deploy this in a real situation?
how long, Derek? I was going to ask you, how long have you been not teaching it, but how long have you been aware of this? How long have you been training in Krav Maga?
I took my first class about 15 years ago. And so, and it was out on the East Coast in DC. So I was kind of an early adopter in a way, kind of when it was, no one else had heard of it, and, just kind of getting into the US. And I've been teaching it for a little over 10 years.
And what drew you to it? What do you like about Krav Maga?
For me, I grew up in the Midwest in Nebraska and Kansas. And then I went to college in Washington, DC. And I had a couple of kind of minor incidents, like taking public transportation. And even though I'm a big guy, I realized in that moment, I do not know what to do in this type of scenario. No one had taught me what to do. And so I kind of on a search for realistic self-defense. And I tried a bunch of things, and then I found Krav Maga, and I knew I had found what I was looking for.
And Charlie, do you have a similar story, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think most of us are kind of attracted to the same thing, but I was always a big fan of the martial arts and different kinds, and I'm still a little bit of a student of kind of watching them and their different styles. But for me, it's just something that's effective, something that's real, something that takes away kind of all the nonsense. I fell in love with it the second I saw it.
Speaking of falling in love when you saw it, I think of Bruce Lee, I think of Jet Li. But I mean, are there any movies, like when you guys watch action movies, and I'm guessing you guys do you notice there are certain Krav Maga techniques or styles and go, oh, that's the so and so technique, or this is,
we can recognize when
Yeah.
when they've studied or kind of rehearsed that way.
Now, can you also like kind of see somebody and size them up real quick and go, that might be a Krav Maga kind of person.
Well, someone who's had training holds their body a little bit different, and it's confidence. There's usually some confidence there that you can detect.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
We got to wrap it up now. We hope that you come back, and we'll give you the website when we come back as well. Thank you so much, Charlie and Derek. Stay tuned for more of the Chips and Salsa show here on KFNX. Ooh, I really need that.
I drive my wife crazy because I'll watch a movie and I'll say, "Oh yeah, that's a Smith and Wesson M&P 40,"
Oh,
or
Yeah.
"Oh, that's a F&H, FS9," or and it just drives her crazy. She goes, "How do you know this?" Because that's all I do, you know, and so it's fun. Or I'll look at that and go, "Oh, that looks like a new 6-hour, AR rifle."
He fired it 8 times, but it only holds 6 rounds.
That's right. That's a 308, honey. That's a 308
Yeah.
rifle. She's like, "I don't care. You're ruining this for me."
Hollywood has kind of gone through different trends in their fight scenes. You had like the Bruce Lee and very Asian, like spinning, jumping kicks, and small guys doing all sorts of stuff. And then you kind of got into like the Chuck Norris era of like big kicks, and the Steven Seagal era. And now it's kind of in a Krav Maga area where like like Daniel Craig for James Bond, he took Krav Maga.
See, that's where I was hoping that we had the time to go into that. Yeah.
They want more. I think audiences now want a little more like gritty. Like James Bond, he gets punched, he gets hit, he goes around, but it's raw. Like they don't want the manufactured kind of highly choreographed fight scenes, right? They want a back and forth, nothing fancy, just kind of brutal.
Right.
Fight scenes, and that's kind of the Krav Maga.
Well, Jackie Chan, when I think of the choreographed, I mean, it's kind of interesting to watch because you're thinking that's a human body doing this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't seem realistic either.
Yeah.
But you're paying for that, the
Would be
entertainment
odd.
value.
Yeah.
That wow, how did he get through that little hole in the wall and then punch somebody? It's like.
Yeah.
But with Krav Maga, when you were telling me about Daniel Craig, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How
Even
Hollywood
like
adopts different styles.
like Jason Bourne, for the Bourne movies, a lot of that was kind of Krav Maga, where he would it wouldn't be like these long extended. Everyone gets punched over and over again. Like he just takes the person down and he moves on to the next person.
Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. Thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. That was very informative. Very interesting.
Thank you, Eric. Garrett?
Yeah. Thanks for having us. Nice meeting you.
Derek, sure appreciate you. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, if anybody
Charlie,
has
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, take care. Bye. Good night, guys.
Okay, so
I wanted to ask them all what they thought about the situation politically.
Okay.
Oops.
What an interesting topic.
Was it good?
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
That was awesome. You always have the best guests. Seriously.
Vámonos.
Eso, pan con queso. Welcome back. You're listening to the Chips and Salsa show. I'm Martin Gonzalez, and with me in the Molcajete, Alice Lara and George Ortiz.
El puertorriqueño.
El boricua.
El boricua.
That's right, we're the Mexicanos.
Más mexicano que el pulque. Actually, Alice, you're from New Mexico, so and people from New Mexico, they don't say they're Mexicans because a lot of them aren't of Mexican heritage.
So, you know what? I never knew this. Like, northern part of Mexico, sometimes, I'm Spanish. Basically, a Mexican is really original half-breed Spanish and Indian.
Yeah.
That's deeper. I don't care.
I don't care. But you know when you do care? When it comes to food. Because there's different, right? Like New Mexican food is different than like Sonoran style Mexican food or Mexican food from different parts of Mexico. The further south, you're eating corn tortillas. In the north, you're eating flour tortillas. Just the cuisine in Mexican food is different in Mexico than it is in New Mexico.
I went to a restaurant. Talking about food, I went to a restaurant that had arroz con gandules, and that's one of our favorite dishes. And it was a Puerto Rican restaurant, and I felt like I was in heaven. It was just a lunch break I took. I was on the east side of town, and I was like, oh my God! I was like, I died and went to heaven. Somebody had told me about that, so I went. I tried it out, and I won't mention a name because we only
Well,
promote Rosita.
Rosita, speaking of dying, going to heaven. So I took Relaine, my lovely and charming wife, on a date, and we went to.
Not to Taboo.
No, we did not go to Taboo. Well,
That was later.
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 We did things that may have even been illegal in some third world country. But no, so we went to Rosita's, and normally, like, I'll get a chicken enchilada and a beef tamale because I like that, and the rice and beans. And I said to Relaine, let's just try something different because she usually gets, that kind of dish as well. She'll get like a cheese enchilada and a tostada. But I ended up getting the camarones rancheros.
Oh.
And let me tell you, it was insanely delicious. I mean, it was so delicious. They give you this like
For our English speaking audience, come on,
shrimp. So they give you these shrimp, and the shrimp are a good sized shrimp, and they put them in a special dish, and then they put this nice portion of rice on there, and they give you this trio of cabbage and corn and carrots, the three C's, the Holy Trinity, carrots of vegetables, cabbage, corn, and carrots. And you think, well, that doesn't make sense, but everything worked on the dish. Everything, it was absolutely delicious. Go try that. Relaine had the arroz con pollo, and that was unbelievable, unbelievably delicious. Seriously, and it was kind of fun. Like I like spicy, but not too spicy. And what was nice about these dishes, they were surprisingly not spicy at all. They're not like hot dishes. Yeah, they could have thrown jalapenos and serranos and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't. It was just a very nice meal. The hottest thing we had was the sauce that they bring you, the chips and salsa. So listen, go to Rosita's. It's they have two locations. We went to the one in Mesa. That's over by Dobson Ranch there on Guadalupe and Baseline. But they also have the one in Tempe on University and Hardy. So you gotta go. It's really good. Anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you about
Their
that.
food is delicioso.
It is delicioso.
Good. And this New Mexican loves it. And, we're snobs. New Mexicans are snobs about Mexicans. And I can go.
That's right. Hey, you guys want to play a game?
Order tamales.
Order your tamales. Turkey tamales.
Turkey tamale.
I wonder if they have turkey tamales.
And don't forget, right now, guys, because you can still call in and try to win the CPS $50 gift certificate. Call in now, 602-277-KFNX 586.
We will give it away in the next 7 minutes.
Dun, dun.
You guys want to play a game?
Sure.
See, it's Friday night.
We'll play a game. It's called Get to Know Me.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I'm going to give George, well, I'm going to give it to you, Alice.
Uh-oh.
Alice, I have written some words on a card. I have 5 cards in my hand. You pick a card, Alice.
Dun, dun, ace of spades.
I'm going to pick the one in the middle.
Okay. Now, tell me what your card says. I just reached over. What does your card say?
Ew.
Ew. Okay, Alice.
It says ew.
Ew. Now, this is what you need to do. You need to tell me about your first kiss.
You.
Gosh.
Ew.
That's pretty personal.
Ew.
Okay, you know what? Oh my gosh. And I might post this on our Facebook. First kiss, right? I was about 3 years old.
What?
And here's how I know about this. Our next door neighbor, Clarita, that's her name, my mom's good friend Clarita, had a grandson, a couple years, maybe a year or two older than me. And guess what his name was? George. So she caught, I guess we were in the backyard playing, and he is giving me a kiss, just like you look like cartoons.
It's very sweet.
And so she took a picture of it and sent it to my mom for Christmas or something like that. So a few years later, I'm on Facebook, and George Garcia, he contacts me through Facebook. He says, hey, do you remember this? And he had that picture.
Oh,
No way.
That was my first kiss.
Aww.
Isn't that cute?
Get
I was
cute.
about 3 years old. I'm going to find that picture and I'll post it on Facebook.
Yep.
George, do you have a first kiss memory?
No.
before we have you pick?
I was afraid to kiss girls, I guess. Yeah.
I'll tell you mine real quick. So I was like 13 years old, and I was at my dad's restaurant. My dad owned a restaurant in Tempe, and he had this girl working for him, and she was about 18. And I was one day just got the courage to try to kiss her. We were talking at the door. She was leaving at the end of her
So
shift.
you already had the hots for her.
I was kind of attracted to her. Yeah, I was 13, 14. And I remember that she stood there, and I sort of got a little closer, and she wasn't moving. So I thought, okay, move in for the kiss. And I kissed her, and I went, mwah! And I just like it was like, mwah! Like, and she looked at me, and I have never seen this look. It was sort of like disappointment, like, oh.
Could have been
So it was
better.
right on
You
the
know,
lips, right on
It
the
was a
lips.
smack on the lips, but it was a kiss the way like your mother would kiss you, or like,
13.
yeah, it wasn't like tongue, or it wasn't like it wasn't like that, but it was just like this. It was just kind of, it was age appropriate. Let me put it that way.
There you go.
But at that moment, it was like, oh, and that was the first time I disappointed a woman. Apparently,
So you didn't dip her.
not the
dip her
last time,
arms.
man. No, it was nothing romantic. It was a mwah! But why I made the noise and then that smack, I don't know why I did that.
That was your future call into your radio career.
It could be. All right, George. I have a get to know me. Take a card, any card. Oh, George drew a card. What does it say on the card, George?
Not me.
Not me. Okay, George.
Oh, I don't know what a not me.
Not me is tell me about your most embarrassing moment. Tell me about an embarrassing moment.
Embarrassing
Alice?
moment.
And we have 2 minutes, George.
I don't think you have enough time.
Do you want to
for all
pass,
my
or do
embarrassing
you want to
moments.
pass, or do you want to go to
I
Alice?
want to pass because I can't think
You
of an
don't have
embarrassing.
time for all of my embarrassing moments.
Do you have one real
Too
quick?
many to remember.
I have one real quick. I'll tell you one real quick. So I had a meeting with.
I know.
Go ahead. Go.
I was in the World Friendship Club in high school, and we had to go. I was in an all-black school, and so in LA, and we had to go to a white neighborhood. It's all friendship, sharing experiences, and we spent the night. Our class spent the night at an. It was a really a kind of a rich neighborhood, and it was a high school that we were sharing the World Friendship. We were all jumping in the pool, and of course, I was thinking, hey, I could do anything. I jumped in the pool, and it was like a big, one of those round things where you jump into the middle. I jumped in, and then I remembered I didn't know how to swim. I went all the way
no.
down, and I reached the bottom, and I was like, how do I get up? And this girl reached down and just reached by the nose, and I was like, they put me on the top, and it was a bad experience. It's an embarrassing experience.
It
The
sounds
whole
like
time that we were there, they were reminding me of that.
I want to wish happy anniversary to David Beasley, who does our music that you're hearing in the background.
Love the music.
His wife, Kim Beasley. Happy anniversary to you, too.
Thank you so much for being a part of the Chips and Salsa Show. We sure appreciate you. And come back next Friday.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That was a good one. I've always remembered that. That was an embarrassing moment. All white chicks and the white girl kind of rescued.
George, I had a similar experience. I had gone to this public pool, and I was 10, and I didn't know how to swim. But there were a bunch of people around, and I didn't want to appear like I didn't know how to swim.
Right, that's like
So I sat down on the edge of the deep end of the pool,
Oh, cool.
just kind of sitting there, kicking my feet in the water. And well, some girl pushed me in the pool,
oh.
and I went to the bottom of the pool, all the way down, and I could see the bubble. And I'm down there, and I'm coming up, and I'm like, I'm kicking, and I'm doing this, and I